Good afternoon. Well, the pleasantries, they are completed. It is time for one of women's rugby's greatest rivalries to write a brand new chapter. Of course, England, they've never won in Grenoble, while France, they haven't beaten the Red Roses since 2018. And only 6 players in that French side have survived from their 13-all draw with Scotland just 3 weeks ago. And a surprise selection as the sevens player, Shannon Izar, returns to 15s to play fullback, while Caroline Drouin and Laure Sansus are the fresh half-back pairing. In the forwards, France's most capped sevens player, Marjorie Mayan, she joins the back row alongside the captain, Gaëlle May. She holds on to her shirt, while there are some other absent big names. Also, keep an eye on the bench there. There could be a debut for Mané Ferlou. Will she come on into the second row? She's been a real star for France in their under-20 setup. Well, meanwhile, for England, youth is really being given a chance to shine on one of these toughest stages, you have to say. The selection of Loughborough Lightning's Helena Rowland at fly half. She's the standout change as the 21-year-old joins forces with the Quins scrum half Leanne Riley. In the forwards, Shona Brand, she gets a start at tight head. The ever-impressive and versatile Poppy Cleal, she switches from the back row into the second row again. And also 2014 World Cup winner Alex Matthews, another sevens returnee, she's in there at 6. Also on the bench, it's delightful to see Laura Keats is back in there. She's been absent from England from some time, and when she was initially brought back into that England setup, she said to Simon Middleton, "I'll go on any list you like." We just saw a flash there of your referee. It's actually France's Auriel Groseleu, who's actually been promoted from the assistant referee as Ireland's Joy Neville. She had to pull out of this fixture with an injury. So interesting, we've got a French referee for this one, but I doubt it will bother either side. They're just waiting for the OK to get underway at Stade des Alpes. Alongside me here is 2014 World Cup winner Kat Merchant, and it's going to be a big game, this one.
Oh, it's huge. It's so exciting for both teams. Absolutely buzzing.
Right then, it's Helena Rowland who gets us underway at the Stade des Alpes in Grenoble. It's France against England as France straight away send the ball to Kildun. Using the backs. England have it, and Kildun straight into a little bit of ruck work. Riley caught there, she was in a tricky position. Riley finds her feet and manages to get the ball to the backs. You'll see a little bit of an interchange between Zoe Harrison and Helena Rowland, who stood in that first receiver position, because Harrison, who's playing with 12 on her back, she can also play fly half as well, but it's Kildun who's on the ball now. She gets it out wide to Dow. Referee happy that that one all backwards. Riley not happy there, appealing to the referee. Play on, she says. Oh, cute little show and go. Drouin. Flinging out to the far side, it's Philippon who's on it now, and a lot in the French cap are excited to see Philippon play, but that's been turned over on the floor by England. Can they get some momentum, play off the counter? Boot to ball. Cleared in the end by Shannon Izar. An interesting passage of play in the first 1 minute 30 seconds. No one really stamping their name on it.
I think both, interestingly, starting off by trying to play a territorial game, and that could be down to testing Azar, having a look, seeing what she's got. She's not normally a fullback when she does play in the 15s game, so I think testing her, but so far so good. But England, a really good place for them to have a line out here and to test what they've got.
Lovely platform for Cocaine to get the ball in, finds her woman. A little bit of a disruption on the floor there by Dessay, the French prop. Well, that Maul had a lovely little rumble, but will they release the backs? Interesting that Rowland decided to take herself there. She did have women outside her. Here's Scarrett with a crossfield kick. Dow is there waiting. She does take it. It's just a little bit too much weight on that ball. Took a long time. And they'll bring it back for the midfield offence.
So Emily Scarrett showing her class there. She'd have known there was advantage, so there's nothing to lose by putting a kick into the corner. And so here's the line out. They know what they're wanting to do. England are good at the driven maul, same as France are as well. So there's going to be an interesting matchup there. And then we've got the advantage. Scarrett decides put it to the corner. Dow's got good aerial skills, same as Breach, and actually you're losing nothing. If there's probably another 5 metres on that kick, it looks even more dangerous, but they get to come back and have another go at it.
Going to be interesting how much we'll talk about these 5 metre lineouts and driving mauls as England win that one nicely. Sarah Beckett screaming for everyone to come in and support. It's moving, it's got legs this, it looks good for England. They've got penalty advantage as well. It's twisted, it's turned. France have pushed back, but England still with the advantage. They're going to twist, they're going to go again. Alex Matthews there, great to see her playing after everything that's happened with the 7 setup throughout this pandemic. Round the corner, England go once again. They string it forwards, it's Poppy Cleal, it's Poppy Cleal over again. She's a try-scoring machine, but not on this occasion. They release the backs. Crossfield kick, this time by Rowland. Dow is there. Izar can't take it. It's been touched down in the end by Bertrand. And they will come back. It was all from the advantage. And nice stuff there by England, but still not getting the points.
No, just not quite getting over that line. So they're going to want to kind of... They're going to want to be a tiny bit more clinical in that area, but I think bets on that Cleo goes over there. There's not often that she gets stopped a couple of metres out from the try line. But I like that England are trying things. They're not just going with 5 metres short, let's play all our short plays. They are getting it out wide. And it's great to see that they've gone for another line out, because 2 penalties advantage in this area. Going for a third, you're really starting to put the pressure onto France there.
They find it again, switching it up this time with the ball going to Ward. Driving the heave, this looks good. That one's flying, that one's over. England get the first score in Grenoble. It looked almost too easy. So few minutes on the clock, and it looks like it's Amy Cocaine who's going to get the credit for that one. And England are already 5 points up early doors.
And I think a lot of the chat in the build-up to this game has been all about France and how, you know, they easily scored those driven line-out scores. But England just know exactly what they're doing. And Ward, player of the match against Italy, and rightly so, she just bosses that whole pack, and they know exactly where they're heading. And Amy Cocaine is no stranger to the try line, especially off of these. So you could just see how organised they are. They get their body weight down. The French players are trying to pull it down, but they just can't get it going, and is something that England are world class at right now.
Well, of course, it'll be Emily Scarrett who steps up to take this conversion. She's none too shabby with the kicking boot. 2014 World Cup winner, the reigning World Women's Player of the Year, 2026 Nations Player of the Year. She kicks the girls. She might as well write the theme tune as well, Emily Scarrett. We are still yet to find anything that she isn't good at, to be honest. Maybe one day we might discover that she's rubbish at tiddlywinks or something like that.
I bet she's probably still world class at that, to be honest. So yeah, we need to find something else. Maybe dancing, something like that. She didn't put herself forward for the movers question earlier, so maybe.
Well, we wait for France to get us back underway. Then comes through Caroline Drouin. Haven't really seen a France attack yet so far in this fixture. England a real selection of kickers in their back three at the moment. Always options there. Sansus. There's a little pocket rocket by Maggie Alfonsi in our build-up. It'll be good to see what she can do with ball in hand in this fixture. Oh, great counter-rucking there by England, and Riley releases the players. I think they've got a bit of space out there. Zoe Harrison thought she could try and dance her way around that French defensive line.
Yeah, and it's such an important turnover area. France weren't protecting the breakdown, and England are always going to, if there's anyone isolated, they're going to target that. It's such a good area to try and attack and get that turnover ball, which they achieved there.
Well, this was the penalty, and oh, it was the turnover, actually, and you can just see the power there from England going over. I mean, if anything, they probably had to be a little bit careful that they went off their feet, but it was just their sheer power that took them down in the end.
Yeah, Cleal and Coimbra, two very strong players, attached together to make sure they're driving over using their power.
Good disruption there from the French at the line-out. Well, it was a nice box kick, didn't go far, but that's a really great chase coming in by Mayan. Another kick from Sansus, pushing England down the park. Oh, Kildun will be frustrated, that one came off her boot, lost a few more metres. Oh, lovely handoff coming in there by Iza. She's got support there from Ménager, who's going to be dragged into touch. That was almost going to be something magical from the French, but well read there by the back three.
I mean, you know, I'm biased, but I love a handoff, absolutely brilliant. And it's that footwork to get that defender off balance, to then transfer the ball, get the ball into the other hand. So the hand is free for the handoff here. Harrison's planted her feet, and then Izar gets a really nice fend to her there.
Short numbers there for England in the lineup. Roland gives that one a big thump. Ménager gathers. Izar. Roland gives it to Kildun. Nice bounce there from Kildun, and she's played the part well there. She knew there was space.
Yeah, she could see, you know, whenever you're wanting to put a kick in as a back free player, obviously you're wanting it to hit the ground, you're wanting to test that French back free and make them move. And it's nice to see a young player with so much confidence come from sevens, so potentially looking where there's not as much kicking, so to come into the 15s games to spot that heads up. She's seen the back three is slightly out of position, so she can they can now put pressure on the line out.
Sosha manages to find Diallo, but referee not happy with England there, pulling down, and here comes Sansus. She's off, she's firing, nobody can catch her. Sansus still going, is this their opportunity? She's looking for support, and Dow tracks her down. Still moving here, they need to ship it out wide. There's Izar once again, and she's got Ménager outside her. They go back inside, Philippon. Sosha. Mayans. Sansus finds Drouin. He'll show and go, oh, almost tried to do too much there, and France lose a little bit of ground. It's a bit of a mess there at the ruck for the French. Took a long time to try and dig that one out. Bernardo in the end is the one who has to go in and try and tidy things up with some nice straight lines. Big hits coming here. Mayans, she's got support with Nason, can't get the clear hit away. It's loose on the floor, someone needs to tidy it up, and Sarah Beckett is the one who touches it down. It went forward before it went over the line, so they'll come back for the scrum, but it looks like Ellie Kildun might have taken a knock.
How nice is it to see the French finally attacking with that flair that we know they have. That all starts from Sansus. Maggie said it at the start, she is one to watch. She's such a key player. And, you know, that line break just really asks questions. And if Neeson can get this away, you know, if she could lift it, I think she looks, she's sighted, she thinks she's going to have someone outside her. She hasn't quite, and like, it's a big hit. That's a try-saving tackle right there, because, yeah, if that ball goes across the hand at all. And this is the break here. Look, it's just the footwork fooling people. She's so agile, quick on her feet. She's scanning. French players can't get there quick enough to her, but this is exactly the threat that they're looking for. And then it's just the support play. Philip on there being able to just get those offloads away, and it's so difficult to attack, to defend an attacking team like that with so many offloads. It's going to tighten up that England team, which means that then the French can try and get it wide. But yeah, exciting passage of play there.
Well, the good news is Wasps' Ellie Kildun, she's gone to rejoin the Red Roses. She's sort of got a bit of a tangle there with a couple of French players. Sucked in a bit of oxygen, checked that her ribs are all in place, and she's ready to carry on. She's made of tough stuff.
Definitely, and probably a welcome breath of fresh air, kind of. Take a minute, breathe. They've just had to defend quite a lot, and now they can focus back onto their attacking play and trying to get out the 22.
Well, I know the graphics are in French, but I think we can all see from that that England have got a little bit more weight behind them in the pack than the French do. And our referee Groselu there just going in to have a word with both sides. Vicky Cornborough, Amy Cockayne and Shauna Brown packing down there for England. And England win the penalty as well. That will so frustrate that French pack. Down on this near side, it's Rose Bernardou. She's only winning her second cap today. She made her debut in France's draw with Scotland 3 weeks ago. The Montpellier tight head there, not showing too much frustration, but she will be annoyed because that will be a real contest for these two sides.
Yeah, you know, the French are known for their scrum, and it's normally something they can rely on for their platform. And, you know, any scrums in either 22, they're pressure areas, and they'll be wanting to put the pressure on there.
Riley. Just trying to push France each time. That looked like it landed on the whitewash, and it has. So ground lost there by England, and France get a better platform.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Middleton's told them to less work on our kicking game here, let's have threats everywhere, because you know, I'm not sure I've seen Harrison kick as much as even in this first kind of 13 minutes of the game. But what it does do is it does make the French have to second guess. They always have to look up, make sure they're covered, and it's then that you get those flat lines. The likes of Beckett can go through the middle like she did off that play there.
Knock on blue, advantage white.
England have managed to steal that one. Big hits going in, and there's a French player there that I think will be receiving some medical attention on the floor there. I think we may even have a little break in play as they check on her. You can sometimes tell when a player lands with their arms that they've been knocked out slightly there. It's Carla Nason. So there might just be a little bit of a pause as they check that Nason is okay.
Yeah, I think they'll be looking at least for a head assessment there, won't they? She got herself in a good low position, but I think head on hip, and then she just flies towards the ground there. I think the French there were done for being offside, and I think that's going to be not the tactic to be offside, but I think they'll have been told, let's pressure this new combo for the England team. Let's pressure Roland, let's pressure Harrison. You know, it's a big game for them to be playing against France, and I think definitely with the likes of Hermé as well, putting pressure on them and trying to get that line speed, but it's a balance between getting it spot on and then potentially giving away the penalty like they did there.
Well, as we suspected, it looks like that Carla Nason, she is just going to go off the field and have an assessment. Great to see that she's sat up, she's talking, she's happy, but when she gets checked out, we get to see Gabrielle Vernier, the Blagnac player, just slip in. She can go in most of the back line, Vernier. They may have a little bit of a shuffle around.
Stop!
A little bit of a shuffle there by Jess Breach. Nice sputter by a scrunchie. Talking about Poppy Cleal playing in the second row for England. She can play in the back row as well. She's got a penalty there, and the French discipline could start to cost them soon.
Yeah, and I think, you know, France, who spoke about, they really do bring it, and they are a different side over there. I know they're without the crowd, but they will still just play on that edge. But I think the ruling there was possibly off their feet, but I think the breakdown they know is kind of a key area they're trying to work, and then, yeah, so she gets her hands on early. So actually, I mean, different referees possibly could give that maybe as a holding on penalty, but it's just working out the ref, playing the rules that they're going to, and unfortunately from a French perspective get pinned back again.
Disrupted line out, and that's more confusion though for the France. That's exactly what they didn't need in that position. Need a little bit of muscle to get them out of a bit of a hole here. Drouin. Breach read that one well. Down now. Gives it to Scarrett. She'll be marked by about the whole French team, to be honest. I was about to say 15. That is about right. That's how much of a close eye they'll be keeping on her. Coughed up, but the referee's blown her whistle, and that's a number of breakdown penalties for the French now. It's Bernardou now who's just walking away there, and she could be looking to her pocket soon.
Yeah, I think so, especially with that one, because it's I think whenever the ball spills out like that, someone's put a hand in and they've kind of pulled it back. So I think, yeah, here you can see a cheeky hand gone in, pulled it back. It's not allowed in the ruck to be doing that. And yeah, the problem is France will be able to, they won't be able to get any momentum when they're doing this. They're better off just taking a breather, ice those breakdowns, kind of spread out and put the line speed on to pressure rather than just pushing the boundaries, because yeah, that's now 4 or 5 penalties in a row, and that's going to force referees to go to their pockets.
Big line out here for England, taken so calmly in the air by Alex Matthews. Kept that one alive under real tricky French pressure there. Hidden up the jumper of Amy Cockayne. She's only got one. Can she go over for another? They reworked that one round the corner. This is smart stuff by England. They kept that one alive, but no, the referee then disagrees. She says it's been held in there. We thought they were trying to work it to keep it going. It's going to be a French scrum.
Credit to France there for working out how to defend it, because, you know, you've just been scored against. They know they need to improve their defence to make sure it doesn't happen again. And so by forcing England's driven ball to go to floor, obviously they then don't have to roll away from it, which means ball unplayable, and then they get to play out from here.
Well, having been given a little bit of a warning, France, about penalties, this is a big scrum now for them. Oh, they meant business there, France, and they've got the ball. It's going to be cleared away. It's not gone as far as they'd like, but boy, were they pushing there.
Oh, there was a lot of pressure there on Azar, wasn't there? I think when they're flying through, which is fantastic, and it shows the intent and how much this England side want this win. I mean, there's been talk about rotation, there's been talk about not playing out their best possible team, but those players out there that have got that shirt on, they are playing for a reason, and they are playing to win.
Well, no more coming this time. Let's get this ball busy. Oh, finally some relief for the French. They can calm things down, get a nice penalty to reset.
And that's important for them. Take a moment, because we have seen that they've got some really good attacking platform, so they now get a bit more opportunity to do that. Very difficult to attack from your own 22, so they get to slow it down, reset, do what they're good at.
Slowly, the French forwards do arrive. Not in any rush for Sochat to get the ball in. Taken calmly by the captain, Hermé, who drops it down to Sansus. Nice bit of footwork by her. Nice running line as well coming. A little bit of a slow getting up off the floor there by Marley Packer. France still have it. Here comes Gros. Drouin, she's going to try and kick through. She's going to put pressure here on Dow. Dow has to turn round. It's an awkward bounce of the ball there. Right up in the face there. Arise, Bertrand. French penalty, and this is a real opportunity, and you can tell by their faces they are delighted.
And I think that's what Drouin was thinking when she put that kick in. She's putting it in to isolate the back three, and the thing is, when you are isolated, you don't have your support with you. That's when you can go for those holding on penalties, or you're trying to jackal, you're trying to steal the ball, or at least get done for holding on. But Dow, you know, it's an awkward bounce. She's trying to offload it there to Roland, but I mean, Roland's in a lot of pressure there. I think you're best off going to ground and then having the support go over, whereas you're just offloading and kind of building the tension, building the pressure.
Is this going to be a French special? They are known for scoring tries from these positions. It's Hermé who has it now, the captain. England, the defensive line finally forms itself, and they're going to have to try and work round the corner now, the French. Sansus waits. Driving on, this is looking good from France. Gros is there. She's got support from Sochat, who's desperate to get her over the line. May. She's reached, she's gone over. Hermé, the captain, managed to twist her body in all kinds of angles to get that one, and France get one right by the posts.
They were determined to get that one, weren't they? The forwards had no other option than to go over there. So you got Gros, and then you got Hermé just carrying so hard. And the key thing is for England, they go too high in their defensive setup, so they fly up the hit. I mean, Alex Matthews is a strong player, but if you're going that high, all they have to do is get their body weight down, and it's a great twist. You're allowed to, when you hit the floor, obviously you're allowed to present, doesn't have to go backwards. She presents it forwards, gets the try, very aware of her body and in control as well. So really well worked from the French back row there.
Well, it's Caroline Drouin who lines up the conversion for the French. This is actually her first test for a year. She calmly slots that one over, no problem at all. So it is even Stevens now at Stade des Alpes, and it's a great rivalry between these two. They both mean business.
And they're very different styles of rugby as well. I think France are it's quite loose. You see Sansu do 2 box kicks in a row, which is not necessarily what you'd assume to see from a team in their attacking style. But I think that's what makes the French attack so exciting, that it can be quite random. They're getting those offloads away. England a bit more structured, kind of slightly slower in their play, but that, you know, they have got it in the bank as well to get it wide. They've got those rapid players out wide. We've not seen breach in space yet, and that would be something exciting to see.
France will have grown in confidence from levelling on points. It's taken them about 20 minutes.
Stop here!
Izar. You can just tell when she runs with the ball, she's used to playing sevens. No one there to distribute. They need a scrum half. Sansus arrives. Well held. Oh, how the tables are turning here. Breakdown penalty, this time against England.
So that one, tackler not rolling away, and you've got, you know, you can get caught, you can get trapped in there, but you've got to be making an effort. You've got to show the referee you're trying as hard as you can to roll away, get away from it, make sure you're out the way.
Oh, has that one stayed in? We're still watching the ball bouncing. The flag hasn't gone up. A mistake there by the French. Izard just tried to push it a little bit too far. So the opportunity for the French is going to have to come here. Here she goes, the fullback. Out towards the far side, Coralie Bertrand is there. Drouin. Bit of confusion who the ball was for. Hacked on in the end by Alex Matthews. Sansus decides to keep it tight with the forwards. She can't quite get quick ball at the moment, Sansus, from those breakdown positions. Vernier gets involved, but it's loose on the floor.
I think Kildon there slightly showing possibly her naivety in the 15s game. You're under pressure. It's bouncing around in the kind of dead ball area. If it's going to your back three, that's when you want to clear. You want to get it into touch. You don't want to be kicking it midfield for the French to be able to have a counter-attack on, and important there. So great lines in here, and this is a tackle for Ward, I think, not rolling away for the penalty.
Well, this is an opportunity for the French to take the lead then, with a penalty within a very kickable position for Drouin. You will have heard us mention a number of times about sevens players. Of course, a lot of countries around the world, they have actually disbanded their sevens setups for the time being because of the Olympics being delayed by a year, and that means that we're getting a lot of sevens players playing 15s now. Drouin then, calm as anything, puts the French in the lead. And Simon Middleton, the England head coach, he really wanted to test his England side today. He's chosen a fresher selection of players. The golden triangle that we call of Katie Daly-McLean, Sarah Hunter and Emily Scarratt only has 1 point left on it in Emily Scarratt out there. And these youngsters really need to step up.
They do need to step up, and this is what you want, though. You want close games. You want England to be under pressure. You want them to see how they deal with things, and especially that Lady Rowland there. We want to see what she's got. If they're looking at her as a replacement for Katie Daly-McLean, then we need to be seeing what she's got against these decent teams.
Also, you can just see her brain going overtime, and Poppy Cleal saying, I don't think so, come with me, come and meet the touchline.
And that's a good tackle there. We saw one from Cleal here. We saw one from Scarratt earlier. Anyone dancing around that touchline, get them into touch, win that line out, and it's just showing the strength. Both hitting reasonably high, but being able to just use that power to drive the player into touch with the ball. So well worked there.
Saracens' Poppy Cleal, we've talked about her playing in the second row. We can see her in the back row as well. If you follow men's rugby, she's really like the Maro Itoje. She is so versatile and workable. She really is an impressive character.
Definitely, yeah, very versatile.
Corbra. Riley. Frustration there by Matthews. Miscommunication, but France still have it through Philippon. Drouin. Well, the back three had to watch the ball bounce a few times there. Ward. Oh, couldn't hold on to the ball. It's all gone backwards, though. Play on as Shauna Brown takes on the ball. Emily Scarratt kicks it down the field. She's still enough. She forces the French players to turn. Is this one going to keep going, though? Such an Emily Scarratt kick, isn't it? It's such an Emily Scarratt kick, because anyone else that would have floated over, but no. She is pinpoint accuracy every time.
You couldn't get it any closer, could you? Yeah, if that rolls another 5 centimetres, it's a poor kick. It's overdone, but stops exactly where it needs to, forcing the kick back so then they can get the ball in the territory. But yeah, such an Emily Scarratt type of kick to do.
Matthews. Oh, that was a poor penalty for France to get away. Riley's just imploring on the referee to blow her whistle.
And those are one of the ones, just a really silly penalty. And that's why you think about what they're thinking about, because they've just taken the lead 10-7 against an England side that's performing well. And then a penalty like that, playing the 9 right in front of the referee, when we've got the likes of Emily Scarrett there to take the easy, we're going to say, without trying to jinx her now after that beautiful kick earlier. But yeah, just spotted right, so in at the side, playing the 9. I don't know what she's thinking there.
More importantly, let's talk about Emily Scarrett's socks, because she's just pulled them down. Talk us through Emily Scarrett's long socks over her knees. This is an ongoing theme of joking, isn't it, amongst the England players?
Yeah, she does get a lot of stick for it, we'll say. Yeah, so then obviously when it comes to the kick, she'll put them down and then back up to, it's her style, her own thing.
Up or down, it's over, and England are back level pegging. Great test match going on in Grenoble in France. A reminder that France won the last time they played in Grenoble. It was the 2018 Six Nations decider, and it was the French by 1 point in the dying moments of the game that came away with victory to take the Grand Slam. And England will really have that at the forefront of their minds.
Yeah, they'll still be hurting from that. Talking to Sarah Hunter earlier, it still obviously deeply hurts. So yeah, they'll be focused on that.
If England actually win this fixture today, they get to go back to #1 in the world. They won't care about that. It will be a marker on this fixture. France, they're currently ranked 4th in the world. Even if they win today, they can't overtake Canada and go into 3rd. Is this an opportunity for France here? They're a long way out, but here comes Diallo.
So just slightly messy there, and I think this is what happens when games are close. I think you just start making those little errors. You're trying to start to think too far ahead. You're thinking the next thing you've got to do, and then kind of the basics can go down a little bit. And it's just about settling and actually ignoring the fact that it is close and just doing what they do well.
I mentioned there about England going #1 in the world. Do you think they know that, Kat?
No, I actually don't think that'll be something they've talked about, because I think you just go one game at a time. They'll just be focused purely on this game. One, enjoying the fact they're allowed to play rugby, and also just they'll want to beat the French in France.
And if you're new to women's rugby, it's the Black Ferns of New Zealand who are currently #1 in the world and the world champions, and that's where the World Cup is in 2021, starts in September. That is what all of this is building towards, and France, they're very happy with their front row as that scrum goes down.
And it is what they're, France are known for, so it's surprising to see the first penalty go against them, because they are just such a tight unit. And interesting to see here that they're going, they don't want to go for posts. That's not enough for them. They're going for the corner. We've seen England's driven line-out score. France will be thinking they can have a go at it as well.
Plus vite en place, s'il vous plaît, Bleu. Plus vite en place.
Sosha went straight over the top, but they were there calmly waiting through Ferrer. Sansus continues to direct operations. She wants that quickly. Tries to snipe herself, but England are all over her. May. Support on the shoulder through Bernardou. Little pods of French forwards just waiting on each occasion to try and punch holes in the English defensive line. Diallo. Bernardou again. She seems to be a real go-to carrier. Kane just trying to hold her up there. Sansus. All interrupted there by England. Was it pushed on. Was there an English hand in there? Referee says no, French hold on. Bernardo again. She is a busy woman. Nice, popped off. Bertrand is there, but Dow smashes her back for her efforts. Drouin finds Mayence. This is some stunning English defence, really pushing the French back, not giving them an inch.
No advantage? You have no call here?
Well, the referee says it was knocked on by England. They will come back for the French scrum.
So you're seeing the pressure that England are putting on this French side and the line speed. So it's deemed it was a hand there from Harrison. But the actual initial line speed to get up and force and basically to disrupt, that's what they're trying to do. So they see here she's flown up, because actually if that's an intercept in there, or it's a shot on Philippon, woman and ball, but yeah, just a slight hand to it. But the line speed has been so good, and a big hit by Dow. The intent there is huge, and you've got Hunter, you've got hunting of tackles from the back row in there, leading by Matthews.
Zoe Harrison a bit lucky, actually. That could have been a penalty.
I think it was because it didn't look deliberate, but yeah, easily could have come across as that. I think it just looked quite accidental.
Well, opportunity for France, and they've got the free kick as well. Early engagement from England.
England looking under real pressure in this scrum, something that they'll be wanting to talk about at half-time. So they just kind of need to survive these kind of 4 minutes, and then they can go and have the tactical things of what's going wrong with it. But I think when you've been pushed back so significantly in the last scrum, then you are tempted to go a little bit early, because you don't want to, obviously if you're going backwards, they want to be set, they want to be attacking.
More scrums, please, say the French. What they would give to go in at half-time, up on the scoreboard. They've got the possession, they've got the territory, they just need the points. Oh, that's a big push from England. They get the penalty as well. What a time for the pack to step up.
And a much more aggressive scrum there as well. You could see the intent that they had going into that. I mean, you know, we saw the pack weight difference. They know they're strong. They want to prove it as well, and just technically kind of showing their class by working out the issues. And I think that's it, to make sure they get them right for the next one.
Well, that ball's been kicked in a far more happy position if you're an England fan. This was the big shove.
And you can see how the French have just lifted. Daniel Waterman, you spoke about it, the prawn. So you go into that prawn position, you're lifting up. This is where all the forwards listening to me hate me, because this is my technical knowledge of scrums. Don't prawn, don't go up too high, or you get driven backwards.
Danielle Waterman, 2014 World Cup winner, recently retired from rugby. Other people missing her out on the pitch. She was always a vocal character, wasn't she?
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah.
You knew Nolly was coming. France. Oh, that's a sloppy little mistake. Oh, Philippon, don't watch that one back on the replay.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's just an unfortunate one. She probably just takes her eye off it a bit, thinks that actually if this comes up, she's got ball in space, and then it's just unfortunate kind of. Yeah, you can see actually she's scanning around. It just comes off the hand. She knows immediately, and but doesn't get her head down, which is good. You see a lot of players make a mistake, heads go down, especially after a long time out with injury. But for her to come back and go, do you know what? Brush that aside, next job. And she's already pointing out she's got a defensive mindset on now.
Fascinating character, Maëlle Philippon. She's had a lot of injuries, and there's a lot of excitement around her there. Only her 7th cap, because she's had this sort of ongoing injury battle. Playing a rugby at Toulouse, she also used to be a very good judoka in her younger days, but she always said rugby was a real love. I wouldn't want to go against her in judo.
No.
I wouldn't go against any of them in judo, to be fair.
Yeah, probably a good call.
We saw England doing some sort of milling in the warm-up, and it just scares you.
Yeah, I was never a big fan of that in the warm-up, so I kind of kept myself like, oh, a little bit of contact, but prefer the running around bit.
So they start looking at you through those furrowed brows. But oh, this scrum is fascinating. This time, it's all French.
And I think it's that balance again. England are obviously pumped. They're wanting to go into this scrum, but it's just, they've got to control it. They can't go too early.
Sansus, Diallo. Sansus finds Juan. Up on the inside. Pressure going in there.
That's one thing you've got to consider, I think, when you do the switch back inside plays. When you're switching back in, you're going towards the England defence and away from your support. So just something to be wary of, that they'll have to get in and a lot quicker over that ball.
Well, the clock had gone red, but the offence came just before it flashed up red. So we have got enough time for this final play in this scrum. Interesting to see if England try and play this or they just kick it straight off the park. Leanne Riley waiting there. Big push coming in from France this time. It ebbs, it flows, and this time it looks very blue. It's very, very French. And they get the penalty. No one getting the upper hand in this scrum. It just flips and flops from side to side.
Yeah, both sides trying to work each other out, but a good secondary drive there, I think, from France. England thought it was coming back. They thought they had it under control, and then that secondary drive through from France.
Oh, what a mistake from the French. If you have a penalty when the clock's red, you can still kick it out and take the line out, but they mistouch, and that will be the half. So it's all even Stevens in Grenoble. It is France 10, England 10.
Yeah, 10 apiece over in France. 2 tries. The first came from Amy Cockayne. She opened England's account, but Gail Hermé crossed for Le Bleu just shortly after. A really interesting chess match, just trying to work each other out, and it has been really all or nothing. Pressure from one side, then it flips to the other side. At this stage, Sarah, who do you think will go into the changing room most happy?
Yeah, well, I think for us, for England to get back in, get 10-all, you know, from the start we had, and then kind of France got back in, the momentum swung, they got possession, they got points on the board, they took the lead. So actually to go in 10-all from the way we started to the way we finished, I think, you know, it's a chance to sort of take a breath, reflect, and come out second half and try and implement the game plan we probably haven't yet been able to execute that we had planned for.
Yeah, there has been an awful lot of figuring each other out. 2 slightly different sides than we might normally see in an England-France fixture. Do you think that's got something to do with it as well?
Yeah, look, there's some different plays been put in for both sides, and I think you're right. It's almost been like a boxing match. They've been feeling each other out, and I hate cliches, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's almost been 2 halves of a half, hasn't it, really? You know, as Sarah highlighted, the first bit was very much England were quite dominant, but then you almost feel like the French have started to pick up the momentum and get back into it. So you almost feel the second half could go either way, because both teams are trying different things, but also making quite a few errors.
I think we've got a new sporting cliche. It's been a half of 2 halves. I like this one.
That's what I'm here for.
Let's take a look at the start of this match, because, Sarah, there seemed to be an awful lot of crossfield kicks. You've been in camp. It looked like a definite tactic. How much was that discussed in the week?
Yeah, it definitely has been. You know, it's something that our backline have been working hard on, not just in the build-up to this week, but generally, as you can see, like Emily Scarrett's crossfield to Abby and Helena Rowland. So, yeah, it's certainly something I'm sure we'll look to see in the second half as well.
Yeah, England had a lot of pressure. They started that game strongly. They put themselves into positions where they could score tries. We spoke at the start of this match about the bread and butter of France from the line out, scoring tries, but England played them at their own game. Yeah, look, England have always worked really hard in their set piece, and the line out area is no different for them. In 6 minutes, England came out, very clinical line out, Ward gets it, and then what's really good about England is their organisation. You know, they get the right players in the right places, and they just keep going regardless of what the French are doing. But I have to say, this is probably England's best line out drive of the half, where now it's sort of kind of gone a little bit down really, so they need to bring that back again, get strong in the line out, keep that ball and be really confident with it. Yes, Sarah, you're normally in the thick of that. I imagine that you agree wholeheartedly because it hasn't always worked, but that was a great example.
Yeah, it was, and I think we were frustrated by our line-up more against Italy, so there's been a bit of work that's gone in the week into that, and that shows it. We just need that consistency because we've had a couple of other opportunities where we haven't been as good as that or effective, and we've let points go when normally we'd pride ourselves on getting that, which again is probably let France back into the game a little bit.
Yeah, and this is where the story sort of built, Maggie, because there seemed to be a bit of an energy shift after that, and France were just keeping the ball alive. We spoke about Laure Sansou before the match, and she was at the heart of it all.
Yeah, it's always a relief when you talk about a player at the top of the show that they actually do really well. And Sansou's, again, we said it, pocket rocket. She takes that quick tap and then she makes a very good break, and it caused England to have to really work hard to get back. But this is what led to that shift in momentum for the French. They just keep that ball alive. It goes through all of the players' hands, through the backs, through the forwards. It doesn't matter who touches it. They all know what they're doing, and they run those good support lines as well. And I think, you know, for the French, they have to keep doing that and not give away penalties. But what's really good about them is their offloads.
Yeah, their hands are good, aren't they? And they play with that French flair, which again is a bit of a cliche. But when you see them working like that, it works.
It does, and it's something that was identified before the game, so we knew it's coming. It's just about stopping it, and for me, that it was a penalty we gave away at the French line-out, which gives Sansou the opportunity to get the ball in the hands, and they're just unpredictable. So whereas like teams would potentially normally get the ball, kick for the line-out, no, she's on the front foot straight away, getting into that offload game. So it's just about how we minimise the opportunities for them to be able to get that offload game firing.
Yeah, France took a bit of time to cross the whitewash, but when they did, it went down to Gaël Hermé. But it started a lot earlier than that.
Yeah, it did. So, you know, Hermé's a formidable player for them, but you see a kick through, again, unpredictable. But for us, it's here, we're under pressure, but we've probably got to be getting to the player a little bit sooner so that they don't get the penalty. Whether she was on her feet or not is a debatable question, but back to France's good old catch and drive more line out, and we know that they're going to be tough in this area. They get that go forward, don't necessarily get over the line, but it's what comes next, that French wave of forwards that come and attack us. And you see Gaël Hermé here, you know, what we think actually probably stopped her, but she's allowed to reach out, as Kat mentioned in the commentary. And I think we'll be frustrated by this because it's almost as if we've stopped her, but she keeps fighting and she gets that try.
I always think as well, it came from quite a few almost like England errors or poor decision making. So, you know, the French kick through, the French put pressure, then England lose the ball at the breakdown. But then one of the big things for me is that England didn't compete at the line out. And I think it's one of the biggest things you should always do, compete at the line out when you're on your try line. And actually, they just gave the ball to the French, and that allowed them to build that momentum up and get that try in.
And this is a big discussion point at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's different tactics for maybe different games about if you're up in the air, you're not on your feet to defend it, but if you don't go up in the air, then you're giving them free ball to win the line out. So yeah, it's definitely a tactical decision, something potentially we look at changing up to present a different picture and maybe go aerial. We've got great line out. Abby Ward's fantastic in air, you know, to try and at least put pressure on to stop them being able to set that mould to get that go forward automatically.
France have given away a few silly penalties that actually is probably a relief to England because it has kept them in it. But we've seen this actually in the latter stages of the Six Nations as well.
Yeah, definitely. You know, France sometimes are their own worst enemies. They start to give cheap penalties, especially around the breakdown. You know, against Scotland, 50% of their penalties came from not rolling away, which we've seen here, which ultimately gives England possession back, gives us momentum to go and capitalise on.
It's almost typical of the French, isn't it? Almost that they build up, they start to get really confident in what they're doing, and then as a result of that, they see red, and they give away these silly penalties, which they just don't need to do, and that's how other teams get back into the game. So you almost think in the second half, or what they're saying in the change rooms, is don't give away penalties, because England have very strong kickers like Scarrett, who can quite easily step up and take those kicks.
Yeah, and you could maybe get away with that against some other sides, as we saw in Six Nations, but you're not going to get away with that against a side like England. Sarah, what will Simon Middleton be saying to the squad, the team in the changing room at this moment?
I think it'll be about playing in the right areas, you know, and then when we're there, like being clinical in those areas. We've been in the France 22 a few times, and we probably haven't come away with enough points. And then on the flip side, just those errors, so penalties or unforced errors such as knock-ons. We've got to control the ball a bit better, but if they do happen, they've got to happen away from areas where they can kick points or they can kick for touch and get their drive on.
Maggie, what would you be telling them if you were in there, shouting at them, telling them to get up for the second half?
Well, I'll be telling the England players to basically, like you've already highlighted, don't give away any errors, don't give away any penalties as well. Because what we've seen, the line-outs have been a bit funny towards the end in terms of they've not been very clinical, and the French have capitalised off that. I'd also say, actually, have a physical defence, because they're almost waiting for the French to do something before they come off their line. So be aggressive, almost back yourself, and don't let the French build up their momentum and confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the second half is coming up shortly.
Thanks, guys. Well, we're ready to get underway through another 40 minutes of what is meant to be a friendly between these two sides, but there's nothing friendly when it's France and England. Nothing separates them so far. As you can just see Caroline Drouin, hand on her hips, the French player there, waiting to get things underway. Alongside me here in commentary, 2014 World Cup winner Kat Merchant. France ranked 4th in the world. What will they have been told at half-time, Kat?
I think reduce the penalty count. I think that'll be something key for them, because that's the only thing that's been putting them under pressure, or the main thing that's been putting them under pressure so far. And just kind of keep doing what they're doing. The offloading game is working well for them, so I'd say flood any line breaks, make sure you've got a player either side so you can keep that ball alive, keep it off the ground, keep the likes of Cleals and Cornbras from trying to compete, and yeah, keep it alive and try and attack as best as possible.
Yeah, France do love an offload. They average nearly 15 a game during the Six Nations. A real strength of their game, and you might see a little bit more of it now that we've got all these sevens players flooding back into these international 15 sides, as our referee slowly makes her way back onto the pitch to get things back underway. I don't think there are any rush in France. They never are. Right then, Caroline Drouin. Gosh, she's got a serious face on her. She's got a job to do. Back underway then at the Stade des Alpes in Grenoble. France 10, England 10. France get us back underway, and they've won that ball as well. Here comes Philippon. Drouin tried to send that out the back door. Gros comes in, the Montpellier 8, to do a little bit of scrum half duties. Sansus. England have read her pretty well. She's tried to snipe round a couple of corners throughout this fixture, but they've stopped her on every occasion. Philippon. Oh, just when the French didn't need that. Just beginning to build a bit of a head of steam. And England get the scrum, and the scrums in this second half, Kat. Your specialism, of course, having played on the wing, but you are a very experienced coach, so I can legitimately ask you this. These scrums in this second half could be a real pinch point for both sides.
Yeah, I think both teams have been giving penalties away. England in particular have been giving away free kicks for going early. So I think, you know, the feedback coming into them would be like, just hold, you know you've got the strength, and just tightening everything up. And I think that then can make them compete in that area.
Crouch! Bang! Set!
Well, Leanne Riley never got to put that one in. England will not get to see the ball either, because France have it. Big decision there early doors by Aurélie Groselou.
Just such a lottery, aren't they, about what's kind of going there. I didn't quite hear the call, but was it pulling down maybe and in? Sound technical, that sounds about right. Yeah, England will be disappointed with that, because they are a pack that do pride themselves on their set piece. So they'll be frustrated. Ball hasn't even gone in and is come down. And I think it's from a keenness to just have that battle up front.
Well, this is a big platform that the French have managed to generate. Interesting to see if Simon Middleton decides to use his bench early if those scrum decisions keep going against them. But that one's not straight, so that's a little bit of a gimme there for England.
Well, you do have Laura Keats on the bench, you know, a long time out injured, but been playing superbly for Club Worcester. And she is a player very experienced in the front row that could come on and I think sort the scrums out.
That was quite close. Wasn't completely skew-whiff as we can sometimes see these balls go, but it's England's as Riley gets it down the line. Here comes a big run by Shauna Brown. Keep an eye out for Shauna Brown's column on the BBC Sport website. She's definitely got a thing or two to say when it comes to women's rugby and any other business going on around the world. High one put up there by Izar. The French player really on it, chasing it. Eventually Izar arrives to try and pressure. But here comes Helena Rowland. Oh my goodness, she's going to shrug a few more off. She's got numbers on her outside. Cocaine show and go. That's nice from the hooker. England need to arrive in numbers. Or was there a little French hand in there? Playing advantage to England. Matthews is going to go straight under. Alex Matthews finishes the job. And England off to a flying start in the second half.
What more could you ask for from Rowland there? The pace that she had, just the, I think you get players, and it's a burst of pace, and it is here. It's that second, third, fourth gear. She's just accelerating. This is where she's showing her quality. She's scanning the whole time. She spots Cocaine on her shoulder, who's worked really hard to get that support line, to work hard from the front rower. And then Alex Matthews, again, footwork. It's all about footwork. If you just run hard and straight, you can get tackled. Even someone smaller than you can get you. But by actually getting them off balance, working across, and yeah, beautiful kind of rugby to see there. And that just shows the work rate, I would say, that this England side has to, yeah, get to any line breaks and support.
Well, that try was started by a sevens player, finished by a sevens player, and then Emily Scarrett, she slots the extras, and England have it. That 7-point buffer now. But this is far from over, long way to go.
Yeah, we've seen, yeah, that France will respond to this, but Rowland, I mean, you know, first starting cap at 10, second cap, and you've got the confidence to be doing this against the team which is fourth in the world. And yeah, for me, it's that scanning ability, but excellent there from Rowland.
Riley. Rowland, boot to ball. Izar just took her eye off it at the last second. Rowland again, doesn't fancy that one. Kildun uses that right boot. She's really good at making the French back three move. Ward. Sansus looks to her forwards in the form of Céline Ferrer, the Toulouse second row, just to try and set up something to get this ball out of their own half. Back down. This time it's Harrison. Nice little shuffle here. Here comes Jess Breach. She's a bit of a machine when it comes to tries. And the machine delivers, touches down. And all of a sudden, England have sparked into life in this second half.
We haven't seen Breach in space yet, so it's the first time we've kind of seen it. So it's always dangerous, I think, to kick to such a fast back free. Breach doesn't need to be asked twice. She's just seen a slight overchase in the defence, which means their hips have got outside, which means she knows she's world class. Big step off this shoulder. She's seen the overchase by Philippon, and then she just backs herself to get across. So not her ball out wide, but gets it in the middle and doing what she does best, and that is finishing.
Emily Scarrett, she can slot them from the side of the pitch, but she's had some pretty simple ones for her standards, which I'm pretty sure she'll be very grateful of, as she just calmly sends that one between the posts, and it'll really build up a head of steam in Grenoble.
So I love this. It's just, again, ball transfer. I go on about it all the time, but it's just moving it across, getting it away. So if a player, if a French player did get near her by any chance, she would be able to hand off. But lovely balanced runner, and a lesson to the French: if you're going to kick, you've got to kick well against this side.
Well, that scoreline will be slightly unnerving if you are a French rugby fan. Les Bleus, they do call the English the bête noire, the black beast. They really are a thorn in their sides. Izar. Bernardi. This is better from France. Just trying to hold on to it for longer passages of play. So Sousa peeling. Just that ball spending a long time in those rucks. That was a long box kick. Roland waiting. How many times have we seen Ellie Kildun with that kick in this fixture? Izar straight back. Anyone for ping pong? Oh my goodness, Emily Scarrett, Emily Scarrett, how do you do it? We are running out of superlatives for this woman who basically can do anything.
And I think the key thing that she does is she'll be scanning phases in advance. She'll be looking ahead. She's seen that there's a gap, and she can get ball to ground and get it into touch there. But the skill set as well. There's one thing to spot it, and it's another thing to get the execution right.
French ball getting themselves out of a tight situation. Dow. Kildun. Izar calls for the mark straight away. It's interesting, Kat, we've seen a lot of kicking, particularly in this second half, as Izar decides to go on a run as soon as I say that one. She's got Ménager on her shoulder. Pops off back inside. Oh, just that last pass, if that had gone away to Philippon, maybe, but it goes out of play, and England get the line up.
Yeah, for me, I think sometimes kicking, we kick for kicking's sake, because actually I'd have given the ball to Breach there, let her have a run. But here to actually run it out, and then they get some good, I mean, Ménager's a strong player. It's that offloading game to keep it in, and I think it adds something exciting. But yeah, sometimes, especially when you're kicking an attack, either kick crossfield or kick, for territory, but not just randomly.
Poppy Cleal on your screens there, calmly walking around, ready to take on duties once again. Socha, the hooker, gets the ball in. Socha, she's actually been making masks in France during the pandemic, doing her bit.
Stay.
Well, there's the warning for England. Who's there waiting? It's Kildun again, who has done brilliantly under the high ball. Refusing to be tackled. Matthews. Packer. Oh, the France arrived there just at the right moment. They get the scrum as well, and that period of pressure has paid off for them.
And England are looking there. Whenever you go back inside or you go the opposite way, you just need to make sure everybody's clued on, because you're just isolating players, and that's when you're at risk of the turnover or just not having enough support players there.
And the face packing down there of Emmeline Gros. She's actually a nurse. She's from Grenoble. Only winning her 8th cap today, the 25-year-old. It'll be interesting to see how France keep rotating their squad in the build-up to the World Cup next year. Advantage to France here. Sansus takes it quickly. She fancies this herself. She's chasing her own ball. Oh, was she knocked there? Referee says play on. Another penalty. Sansus, I think she was going to try and think and take it quickly again, but they've got a nice opportunity to set something up.
And I think Sansus possibly was unlucky there. I think she did get barged off the ball, because we saw in the Six Nations game she scored, as a result of doing that chip and chase through, because it is just so dangerous when the 9 kind of does it here and Brown kind of does really well to kind of gather and keep it, but then isolated. And France are really good at getting over the ball quickly. You've got to be there to kind of clear them out, because they're going to jackal, and this referee's very hot on the holding on, and they get rewarded for their efforts.
Oh, what a steal there from Abby Ward. If you're not familiar with the name Abby Ward, she did get married in the summer, previously known as Abby Scott. Husband played a bit of rugby as well, he was all right. Well, the warning there going to Kumba Diallo.
And a fantastic steal under pressure for Ward. I mean, she's been showing it at club, she's been showing it for country. She just reads it so well and gets up so quickly, and it's just key in that line out.
Yeah, she's vice-captain today, is Abby Ward. She's been out injured for 11 months. She came back during that period when they finished the Six Nations to play against Italy. It's like she'd never been away. And here we go. Moena Talling coming onto the field of play, and it's Sarah Beckett who's making her way off, so they might just shuffle things around slightly here. I assume that Poppy Clear will go into the back row.
Yeah, I imagine Talling on a second cap, they're probably not going to say go in at 8, but
go, see what happens.
Yeah.
I think our referee's going to have a little word here. That Socha still receiving a little bit of treatment. She's okay to carry on.
Let's go, right?
Well, we talked about the rankings there. It is the World Cup draw on a Thursday evening. England, New Zealand and Canada are the top seeds for that one. Fascinating to see, because France has got enough in one of those groups, and I don't think anyone's going to want to face them at the pool stage. Some big hits, Alex Matthews. She is such a tricky customer to tackle. Rowland manages to get it down the line. Here comes Dow. Good tackles coming in by the French. Oh, look at that counter-rucking, but the referee says no, over the top.
So initially I thought a really good counter-ruck. I think they'd seen that England had run out of players, the numbers in, so pushing them across, but then it's just, you've got to stay really balanced, stay on your feet, because as soon as you go to ground, you're killing off the ball, and refs are looking out for that.
Rowland to kick it down this near side, and let's not forget, Helena Rowland is 21 years old, and she's doing pretty well out there, isn't she, for a youngster in that fly-half jersey. We'd normally be seeing Katie Daly-McLean playing there, but she has been rotated out. She's been given a rest, so Simon Middleton can see who else he's got there. Scarrett. Packer. Loves the contact, Packer. The more people, the better as far as she's concerned. Harrison there with the distribution. I think they've got a bit of space out there. Channel slowly starting to be flooded by the French. We can hear the heavy breathing there from both sides. It is worth remembering that when it comes to women's rugby, the place everyone wants to go and play is France, because their crowds are normally huge, boisterous, vicious almost, aren't they, Kat? And as much as we can hear the echoes now, we can only imagine what it would have been like if the crowds had been let in.
Yeah, they've been huge, and it was one of my favourite games playing away in France, because just the atmosphere was just massive, and yeah, the crowd were what word you said?
Vicious.
Vicious, yes, I'd agree with that terminology.
They would always push crowds around 20,000. But as we all know, time's a little bit different right now. Cornbury. Oh, holding on the floor there. Well, everyone just saying hello. Saying this is my shoulder, where's your shoulder? Oh, there it is, thanks for letting me know.
I think England now have been done a couple of times for holding on, so they're going to have to really try and change the tactic. Either, like France, kind of keep it alive, offload it, so you take the decision out of the referee's hands, or you're just going to have to make sure England are going to have support players there much quicker. They might have to commit a few more numbers to the breakdown just to guarantee keeping their own ball.
Well, it looks like they're going to have a few changes here, France. You can see waiting to come on. Raika Labib, she looks like she's going to come on into the front row. Back into the squad after a 4-year absence. She's going to come on for Rose Banardou. Also coming onto the field there, Elise Pignon. And she's going to replace Maëlle Philippon in the centres. It was nice to see a bit of a feisty exchange a few moments ago. It just proves how much it means to these women.
Definitely, and there is that kind of the aggression that when you're having playing rugby. So and it will transpond across.
Oh, here comes Sansus. This is what she does. Oh, she just couldn't get that offload away. Packer says, "I'll have that." Scarrett. Dow. Oh, that was lovely stuff by the England backs. Matthews. Riley. Roland, quick distribution. Cleo. Packer. Riley having to sort of scramble across the floor to play. Oh, that was a big hit. Vernier there, bringing Dow down. Didn't quite finish the job, but oh, we felt that one.
Advantage. Tackle.
Oh, Riley called for the penalty there, and she got it. Well, the referee will come back. A warning there for the French, and you do just worry. You can just see a few French heads dropping at the moment, them sucking in the oxygen, and it is so disappointing to see because there's still 20 minutes to play. They've got plenty more to give.
And we know normally France do play, I think, a better second half. Some beautiful play from England here, like to say beautiful again, but the flat passes, and that's where I think England play their best rugby, where they can get the ball out flat. So they got it out flat in front of Scarrett, who then gets it flat in front of Dow, which just means you're on the front foot already, and then it's a real ask for the French defence to have to get back, and that's that hit you were talking about from Vernier. Really good hit, bounces Dow off balance and takes a secondary defender to kind of get her down. But I think it's something that Katie Daly-McLean does very well, is that the flat play playing right on the edge, and it looks like Roland and Harrison have just taken that on, and especially in this second half, seeing it a lot more.
Well, they've just had a change. You can see Lark Davis now on your screens. The Loughborough Lightning hooker is on. That's the end of the day for Amy Cockayne. A little bit of a mention there to Amy Cockayne. She is also in the RAF as well as rugby duties, and she's had a big week with it being a Remembrance Sunday and everything, and some beautiful stuff she's been posting on her social media. Do have a little bit of a look, but it's Lark Davies who now take on hooking duties as Emily Scarrett goes, I tell you what, everyone needs a breather. Why don't I kick this? How does everyone feel about that?
And those are important moments, because in big games, when they are close and these pressure moments, you need practice at going for kicks. And yes, okay, this is a friendly, but you know, they didn't hide the fact they're still wanting to win. They're wanting to get points on the board, and yes, they want to blood the young players and give them experience, but international rugby is always about results.
Well, you've got to remember, France, they are the only Northern Hemisphere side to have beaten England in the last 4 years. But at the moment, it is not looking good for them. They've won in Grenoble in 2014 and 2018, the last 2 times they've met here. But Emily Scarrett just keeps on firing them over, and that scoreline is just getting a little bit too much out of reach. France needs something, and fast.
Yeah, they're going to have to dig deep and make sure that their heads aren't going down. They just have to attack it, just come back, because actually result might be gone. That doesn't matter. Throw everything at it now, everything they've got in the locker.
Riley uses the forwards. Goes back, Roland uses the boots. Oh, Shannon Izabi frustrated. Just landed, so it rolled and rolled. Kildun. She does not drop them. Izar again, and Kildun has just been hunting her down. There's Pignon. There's a big thump coming in there by Drouin. Desperate to get that ball away. Nice little hitch kick coming in there by Roland. Bit of confusion though afterwards, and they'll have to reset. Little bit of a mention that sneaking onto the pitch there, you might see Chloe Pell, who has come on. She'll be playing in the French front row. She actually started her career as a wing. She's been playing sevens, but now she's a prop. It's fantastic. We love a prop playing sevens.
Yeah, definitely. And you come across them, and you just, you know, you try and avoid them as best you can, because when they catch you, it is going to hurt.
It just means she's going to have those soft skills, as we just watch a bit of treatment here to Helena Roland. Remember, only her 2nd cap today. They've got a bit of firepower left on the bench here, England, so if she has got a bit of a knock, Simon Middleton has the opportunity just to rotate things slightly, take the pressure off. Here comes Harriet Millar-Mills, 29 years old now, plays her rugby at Wasps, and we've talked about different players who've had injuries as Poppy Cleal makes her way off. I mean, blimey, Harriet Millar-Mills, 3 ACL operations. Just her strength of character to keep coming back, her resilience, incredible.
I mean, having gone through ACL reconstruction myself, it's a long process to come back, so I can't even imagine 3 of them to come back from. And I think just, yeah, the mental strength that she must have and the determination and dedication to come back, I think, is incredible.
There we go. There's a very close-up shot there of Helena Roland's right foot.
She was tackled awkwardly, wasn't she? I think it's after the kick, then she lands awkwardly. I think her toes get stubbed into the floor, so then she's probably gone over on it a bit.
Well, here's the big test. Side to side, back and forth, round you go. How do you feel?
She's not going to say if it hurts, is she? She's doing so well on her, you know, debut at 10. I think a fantastic game, so she's not going to want her foot to be the reason why she's coming off.
A big moment will be when she has to kick that next. I don't know if maybe she'll just go, oh, Zoe Harrison, do you want to stand in the first receiver position and deal with this? We shall see. Here comes Packer. Oh, Matthews. Oh, she got read very well there by the French. Drouin, this looks nice. They decide to hack it on through Sansus. They forced England to turn. That is great French play. They just need a bit more of it as England think about taking it quickly, but the French arrive.
I think the turnover and then how quick they move that ball that's the bit which then will get them into space. So they've gone quick hands, moved it across. They've noticed because of the turnover, the back three are up instead of drop back into to a counter position. So they find the space, get it into the 22. Great play from the French.
Well, England going to work this one out of the 22.
Outside.
Well, there's a test of that right leg for Roland. Didn't seem to cause too much of an issue. Bertrand. Oh, that was a little bit high around her neck, but it wasn't a completed tackle in the end. Ménager.
So Abby was so quick over that ball. You could just see, so Abby Ward in there, like she gets herself low, gets over the ball, because even if you just hold up that ball for even half a second, referee's going to see it as a holding on, because you're just reminding her, actually could have had this if it wasn't for the fact that they're keeping it too tight.
Well, here's another test of that Helena Roland right leg. She seems to be all right, doesn't she?
I think she's fine. She's definitely just wanting to stay on that pitch. That's a good shot there by Brown. Great tackle, low textbook chop.
Time off. 1, 3, and 9.
Oh, look at the face of Socha. She just knew they had a great passage of play. Here comes it on a few more England players there. Taisha Harper, she's going to slot into the front row. Also going to have a new scrum half in the form of Claudia McDonald. That'll be the end of the afternoon there as Shauna Brown makes her way off the field. Also Vicky Cornborough going as well. England have scored from this position before. Can they repeat the trick? It's moving well. France need to throw a few more bodies at this and slow it down. There's the warning to use the ball to McDonald. That's going back again. That ball is in there somewhere. It's in a tricky spot. England are probably going to have to touch this one down, or they may lose it. It's loose. Out wide, have they got numbers? Out there, big handoff coming from Breach, but I tell you what, Ménager said, thank you very much, come into my arms. Big hit. Pick and go round the corner. Nice little pods of forwards. Here comes Packer. Used to be a plumber, now full-time England rugby player. Taisha Harper is there. Harriet Millar-Mills coming round the corner. Here's Talling. Oh, they're just inches short. Who wants it? Look at the French. They're ready to go, ready to rumble. England think they've got it. I think they're going to go and have a little look. Intense period of pressure there by the French to try and hold up that defensive line.
Check, please, the grounding. If they control the ball with the grounding.
We heard the instructions from our referee. They're just trying to check that the ball was grounded over the line. It was a tricky camera angle that we had it. So they're just going to check that this one has definitely gone round the corner.
So she thinks it's a try. Ref said, my on-field decision's a try. I just need to confirm it with the grounding.
Yes.
The ball is lost forward. Scrum 5 blue. You were on advantage for white.
Yes. Yes, I have advantage for offside blue. So my decision is not try. Captain, the decision is not try. It's knock on, but I have advantage for offside. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Penalty for you.
Well, there you go. Very quick decision there by Emily Scarrett. Not interested in doing anything else other than giving her team a bit of a breather, kicking the penalty and racking up 30 on the scoreboard.
And that's good to see, because what would you do in a World Cup final? It's exactly what you do, and I think that's what they have to start thinking of. It's rather than let's play exciting rugby, you know, actually what would we do in these conditions, and this is exactly what would be done. We were talking about injuries earlier and players coming back in, and one big one for me personally to see ex-teammate Laura Keats going on. She's had some horrible injuries with her Achilles after 2017 in the build-up to the World Cup. She got injured, so to see her coming back and return into international rugby, I think is a huge, huge moment for her, and it's fantastic to see.
Well, France still haven't struck a blow yet in this second half. They've sort of started just to slightly fall away. Oh, that's better from the French, but it looks like it's gone forwards first. As soon as they do something, it's so frustrating for them. Annika Heyron, who is the French coach, she will be looking on, just wondering what her options are with this France side, because she has got a couple of big names who we were surprised weren't playing today. Jessie Tremoulier, who we normally see as a regular at fullback. Also Safia Ndiaye, she isn't featuring today. And we see Sansus go off now as Pauline Bourdon comes on. She actually played as the starting 9 in that Scotland game. They've got big names. It's just interesting to see if they're rotating at the moment.
If they're doing the same as England are and looking at strength and depth, but Tremoulier in particular, so dangerous. And when she's got ball in hand, I think you'd want her on any of your teams.
Jessie Tremoulier, the 2018 World Player of the Year, not featuring at all in this French 23. Comes Meg Jones, she snuck onto the field. McDonald and Packer. Ward, nice soft hands. Trying to just get it down the line, England, but they've lost a little bit of ground because the French defensive line have had enough of watching it. Izar. Nice little nudge through from the French. Well, we've seen a bit of ping-pong throughout this fixture. It looks like it will continue, the battle of the boots. Drouin. It's not quite the position that France wanted to play off, but they'll take it. Bourdon. Oh, France. They just start to build, string a few phases together, and it's just a little mistake. And Diallo there, you can see it on her face, she knows it. They're a good team, the French, but they do just seem at the moment to have a little bit of a blocker when it comes to England.
Well, I think they've done enough to manipulate the England defence. They'd shortened them up, and I think that they had a two-man overlap on the outside, and they chose to kick it. If you've got the overlap, go through the hands. They've tested this back three. They know what they can do. They're fast, they're rapid, so keep the ball in hand, have a go.
Well, these two last men, of course, in the Six Nations. It finished France 13, England 19. That one back in February in Po. Doesn't look like it's going to be such a close scoreline this time round. And remember, there's a return fixture at Twickenham next week. I think both these sides will be slightly different when we see them step out at England's HQ.
Marley Packer doing what she does best, appealing. You can hear her shouting, stepping off, just getting that seeded out into the referee's mind.
Marley Packer there playing on the England flank. One of only 4 players who won the World Cup with England in 2014 in the 23 women's squad today. Slowly starting to disappear. You're an ending breed, aren't you, Cat Merchant?
We are.
In white shirts.
Yeah. We're ending up doing the comms and things like that instead, filtering out.
You can just hear what it means to the French to try and push them on, but England hold. Jones. Big hit going on from Vernier. I mean, she's known for her big tackles, Vernier, and she's really showing that again here today. McDonald looking for options on either side. In the end, it was Ward who offered her the best chance. England a little bit flat at the moment. Rowland. Ball comes back, Scarrett, she's had enough, doesn't want the ball down at the end of the field anymore. Oh, everyone's okay. He's up. Pignon. She needs to release the ball, Pignon. But you also have to say England need to get off it. Bordeaux. Drouin. Well, that didn't quite work out how Drouin wanted. Goes out of play on this near side. And you just feel the French, they do have something in them. They have got a box of tricks, but sometimes it's just not your day.
I don't know whether fitness is possibly creeping in or whether just heads are down, but they're getting themselves far too flat, which means they can't inject any pace onto the ball, which makes them much easier to defend. So they still, even though, yeah, there's a 20-point difference, but actually still get practicing, you know, building towards a World Cup, get yourself deeper, work hard so you can hit on at pace and make that impact.
Is so good on the ball when she has it. Very happy taking it into contact. Oh, that's a cute little kick over to the far side of the field. France know it, they decide to take it quickly.
Stop! Leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it!
Well, England pushed back a bit there, but that was a nice kick to touch.
Lovely kick to touch, but I love the fact throwing it into yourself, have a go, kick it out. I just think that's brilliant, and that's the type of thing they need to be trying now. Throw everything at it. Why not? You know what England are like in the line out. Ward can get up, she can steal. They don't want to risk a 5-metre line out there, so actually take it yourself and get yourself the advantage.
Just saw Mané Falou there for France. She's making her debut today. Said earlier she's been ripping up trees in the France under-20s. Good to see if she can do it on the big stage. It's right over the top there, causing all kinds of problems for Zoe Harrison. She's done well to place that one. Penalty to the French. You can hear the cheering from the technical area. As Laura Keats just says, hello, how you doing? Bonjour. Right, what have they got here through Ménager? She's on her own, she's still going. Oh, not quite the distribution that I think Marjorie Mayans was wanting there. There was a little bit of space there, and fair play to Ménager. She sucked up every centimetre of it.
Ménager is really dangerous, both in defence but in attack as well. And I think here, just like putting, she holds just for a second, possibly could have put the pace on earlier, but she had Jones in sight, and I think wasn't sure whether she was going to step or not. But a great roll in here, back to her feet. But the cover tacker from Miller Mills coming in, and a big hit there.
Anyone looking at Marine Ménager out there on the left wing for France and thinking, do you know what, she looks a bit familiar. You know, one of those faces. She has got a twin sister called Romane Ménager, who if you followed the 2017 World Cup, I mean, she was an absolute star for France. She's not with us at the moment, she's injured. But both of them, they're not bad at rugby, are they?
Well, it makes it great when they're both on the pitch together, and because they're both so fast, very different positions, you know, one in the forwards, one in the backs, but they're both very fast, both very strong, and actually sometimes, yeah, very interchangeable.
Yes.
So difficult for comms.
Although the other ménager, Roman, she does play in the forwards, which helps.
Yeah, it does help to kind of identify.
Yeah. Right then, still 5 minutes to go. Who's going to have the last say in this fixture? Pretty confident to say now it's going to be an England win. Big moment for them, getting a win in Grenoble as well. But can France do something just to close that gap on the scoreboard? Tasha Harper there. You do just look at what front rows put their bodies through sometimes, and you just have so much respect, don't you?
I once complained about being sore after being in a 7 scrum to my prop housemates. Did not go down well.
I can imagine.
Oh, I was like, I need a massage, my shoulders are sore. Yeah, no, it didn't go down well. Not the same, apparently.
I'm going to remember that one. Oh, they've been great, the scrums. The ball is gone now. England have held on. England's exit, not been too bad, has it?
That's a lovely kick under pressure as well, because France are putting the pressure on still, and Roland, I just think, has just played so well. And yeah, it's excellent to see that the future's bright from an England perspective, and that there is a lot of cover there, should it be needed.
I mean, it's a discussion that Katie Daly-McLean won't want everyone to be having about how much more time Helena Roland needs to start in that 10 shirt, because she's not done too badly in France today. And Katie Daly-McLean does like being involved. She won't be happy that she's been left in England this weekend. That looked a little bit forward, but they'll come back for the penalty, and it's France ball.
But I think it's a brilliant place for England to be in, that they can say, oh, we're doing a rotated squad, we're going to leave players behind that maybe would normally obviously feature, and for them to put in a performance like this. I mean, it's not necessarily been the most clinical at times, but they've dug deep and they've achieved what they've needed to, and there's been glimpses of the energy that they kind of need against strong sides, and it was perfect to be challenged so much in the first 40 minutes.
Touye finds her woman, but that's not straight. Nothing has gone France's way at all in this second half. It will have been really tough to watch for France fans. They can play better than this, ultimately. It has just not been their day.
I think little things like that, 2 not straight line outs, and then you haven't got that platform to attack from, and then that just kills the moments that you are able to have the ball.
Here come England. The clock is nearly gone in France. What have they got just to finish this off with a cherry on top? Izar. Bertrand. Oh, Emily Scarrett in the right place at the right time. Penalty to England as well. And why, I mean, why not just kick it into the corner?
Yeah, last play, or near enough, for them to have a go and practice their driven line-outs. Another example, though, of France just nothing going their way. I mean, they've got a lovely flat pass out to the winger in space, but just not quite deep enough to hit on, and then the offload going right into the hands of Emily Scarrett. But it's not accidental. She's got herself in the way of that offload. She has read it. She knows what she's doing.
One last play. England line out. Lark Davis ready to get it in. Oh, it's just been tipped over the top. It's loose on the floor. Packer managed to hold it. McDonald now. Davis once again. Penalty to England. McDonald thought about taking it quickly. She's looking around. What should we do?
No, she's doubting, should I have took it quickly? But no, I think her teammates around her will be instructing her, no, let's calm this, we know what we're doing.
I think they're still discussing it. They're going to go for the posts? Are they waiting for the tee to come on? Is this how the match is going to finish? It looks like it might be. He did fancy maybe that Claudine McDonald there was looking to see if she could tap and go, but ultimately these women also have to look after their bodies. They know there's another test match next week. And everyone wants to play in it. No more injuries.
That's exactly it. And again, I think just because you're ahead, it's having respect enough to the side to make sure you play as you would, even if it was tight.
Well, that is it then. It has all been about England, and that victory means they are back to #1 in the world. They finally get their Grenoble victory. Full time, France 10, England 33.
So a great win there for England out in France, the 36th win out of 39 test matches. The stats are so impressive. Sarah, you must be delighted with that performance, particularly the scoreline.
Yeah, you know, we've worked so hard in the week and the build-up to this, and to keep going to France and keep that winning mentality against them was so important. But I think that second half performance, you know, didn't always go right in the first half, 10-all at half-time, but to come out and put 23 points on the board and get none against you, I think, you know, with quite a changed team, it is a really good performance for us, and the girls should be really proud of themselves.
And Maggie, we spoke before, these matches are quite often quite a tight scoreline, but France just didn't really turn up in that second half, and England put the pressure on straight away.
Yeah, I actually think the French still were in the changing rooms in the second half. You know, in the first half, we saw it, towards the end in particular, we saw a really good French side. But in the second half, it's almost like they just didn't really want to play. And I don't know what Simon Middleton said to England at half-time, but it made such a big difference because we saw the accuracy and the quality of the passes and the kicks really take another step up.
And they came out the blocks so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what's good about England. Like, I think England realised what things they need to improve on, and then they really put it back into action straight away. And they scored straight away in the second half, and I think that's what really started to build the pressure on the French.
And that's the thing, Sarah, isn't it? It's like Simon Middleton can say these words at half-time, but to actually go out there and implement them, he must be hugely happy with that, because it was a different England that we saw in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? There's a great leadership group out there that will have been identifying those things and the way to fix it, along with Simon and the coaching team. But he's right to say them one thing, but to come out and to do it, and not only do it pretty much straight off, and to get 2 back-to-back tries pretty early on, it is fantastic for England. And then France are always chasing themselves, and I think we saw that within France. You know, their offload game that was going to hand, you know, it wasn't quite working for them, but they were always forcing those extra passes to try and get back into the game. But ultimately, that probably caused them to drift further away, because they didn't really build any phases. They didn't really build any pressure or any continuity, which just meant we could keep building that pressure and keeping that scoreline ticking from an England point of view.
Let's take a look at that first try, the Alex Matthews try, but it was actually something, Sarah, that you said, this is what you get when you have Rowlands in your team, and the loss to sevens has been a great asset to 15s.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm fortunate I get to play with Helena at Loughborough, and we've seen her do this week in, week out. You know, she's a real threat with ball in hand, and that footwork, that step that we've seen to get her in there, and a great supporting line from Amy Cockayne. And I'm sure Jess Breach will be having a few words to say at Amy, because she could have maybe made it a little bit easier, and Jess would have been in on the wing. But, you know, great continuity by the players to get up there, and a great running line by Alex to score that try.
And it's also important to recognise, you know, it all came from a real loose kick from the French. And what I love about Rowland's break here is that, you know, she backs herself, and that's what you see a lot in the sevens rugby. You know, she backs herself to make that run, to make that pass. And like you said, Hunter, Cockayne should have probably given that ball to Breach. If I was Breach, I would be calling for it. But good work by England just to finish it off, and great to see Matthews back on the scoreboard, obviously coming from the seven setup.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing this, just to take a look at those pictures there, we can actually see what's going on over in Grenoble. We were mentioning sevens, and it's worth just putting that into context. There's been obviously cuts across the board, so a lot of the sevens players have no funding, and they are now feeling their way into 15s, and they are going to be lightning fast, good hands, and you can see what they bring to the party.
Yeah, they've spent years, you know, honing those skills, haven't they? And certainly we're seeing them in the Premier 15 side, and they've been picked on their performances from Premier 15s to get a chance and an opportunity to play in a white shirt. And we've seen last week some great performances, and again tonight, Helena Rowland, Alex Matthews, Ellie Culldun, you know, really adding to what England's about.
It does make you wonder, though, what will happen come World Cup time. I know we're not going to talk a lot about right now, but you know, prior to World Cup next year, it's going to be the Olympics, and will those sevens players actually cross over to 15s? Who knows? But to have someone like Rowland Matthews, you know, I think they add strength to the England side. And
they'll all learn off each other, won't they? They all bring different things, particularly into training. So Alex Matthews went over Maggie, but quite shortly after that, Jess Breach had a lightning break.
Yeah, Breach didn't get her try, obviously, from the initial break from Rowland, but in this one she definitely did. Again, it came from a loose kick from the French, went straight into Harrison's hands, and I absolutely love this again. We talk about the young players because they've got such confidence, but Breach does not need anyone to tell her where to go to the try line. She looked up, saw what was in front of her, that was a broken play, and just, again, backed herself. You know, the French don't do this very well. They don't really organise their defence very well. So what Breach did well was there, she looked on what was up in front of her, took the big step off her right foot, and saw that the French were over-chasing it. I know Kat mentioned it in commentary. The French have a tendency, if they feel like they're obviously being dominated, they tend to over-chase in the defence. And, you know, Breach spotted that really clearly.
Well, it's a good job. We've been saying lots of nice things about Jess Breach because the wonders of technology mean that she is able to talk to us live from Grenoble at the moment. Jess, great to see you. Congratulations. What a wonderful scoreline, a wonderful performance. You must be delighted with that one.
Oh, yeah, no, it's good. It's nice to come away into France and to play a tough game, but to get a win, I think obviously going in at half-time 10-0 and then coming out like 33-10, I think is fantastic, and it shows that, you know, we've got a lot of depth and strength in the squad, and, you know, to finish that game off like we did, it's fantastic.
A great try from yourself in the second half. My goodness, what on earth did Simon Middleton say to you at half-time?
Just that we need to be a bit more clinical within the middle third. We just need to get out of our red zone and, you know, just get it down their end, especially because they have the sun on their face in the first half, and obviously in the second half so did we. But we just need to get out of our, you know, tough areas and put them down there, and then get them to play out.
Jess, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful right ear.
Guys.
It's lovely. But it is fantastic to get to speak to these players, and this is what we're all having to deal with. It's also worth saying as well how important it is for having matches like this on. There is the reverse fixture next week. What are we expecting in that? How much change will there be to this England side? Because we know that there are injuries and players will be coming back.
Do you know what? As a player who's inside the camp, I'm not entirely sure what Simon will do. You know, he set out right from the beginning of this autumn schedule that people will get opportunities, want to see different combinations, different people with different experiences. So, I mean, we probably saw a team we weren't expecting for this fixture. So who knows what will be happening for next week. But I guess it keeps you on your toes. And, you know, there's one thing for sure, that whatever squad is put out there and chosen will go out and represent the shirt and do a really good job. And you know what? France will be hurting from this. They'll want to come to Twickenham and they'll want to put it right. So I've got a feeling it's going to be an almighty battle next week.
But Maggie, one person who it seems that England just could not do without is Emily Scarratt. We gave her a big build-up beforehand. In fact, I think we can hear from now. We'll get your thoughts afterwards. But let's hear from Emily.
So, Emily, since 2018, you played 6 times against a French team. You win 6 times. What makes the difference today?
Yeah, it's quite a good stat, isn't it? It was something that we were conscious of, and we wanted to make sure that we kept hold of that. The girls put in a real shift today. We've got a lot of youngsters, their first time away in France, and yes, there's no crowd, but it's still a really tough place to come and play. So yeah, really proud of the girls' effort. We've got a hell of a lot of people back at home as well that would have been, you know, wanting to be out here with us. So it's a real squad effort.
And a few words about you. So you are one of the best players here in the world. What is your secret?
I think being a part of a bloody good team. Yeah, I'm really fortunate to play with some great players. As I say, a lot that are here and a lot that are back at home. But yeah, we're a very proud rugby nation, England. We go about our business in a way that we want to be the best that we can possibly be. So fortunate to be a part of this group. But yeah, it's just about coming out to places like this and trying to put it on the pitch.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Yeah, she plays well, she talks well, she is a huge asset, and you could see that in her kicking today. Faultless.
Yeah, her kicking was spot on. We talked about it really at the top of the show that she would bring that to the game. And this kick, something you see in rugby league. She kicked it from her 10-metre in her half all the way to the French 22, and the accuracy, you don't see a lot of that in the women's game, and she's one of the players who can do that. Then again, her kicks at the post, 38 metres out, under a bit of pressure to really get this, and she absolutely nails it. I think she's one of those players who is very calm and composed under pressure, regardless of the situation. She always steps up to the plate, and I love that interview where the lady goes, what's your secret to make you the best player? And typical Scarrett style, she didn't actually talk about herself, she said about the whole team. But yeah, she had a really good game today.
How much of an asset is she in a squad, particularly when you're bringing on young players? She must be someone who they can look up to, not just emulate, but learn so much from.
Oh, huge. Not only is she such a talented player herself, but the knowledge she shares, the help that she gives other players around her, it's just phenomenal. She's a fantastic leader as well, and how she orchestrates everything. And you saw from her kick, when we're under pressure, give it to Emily, and she'll remove that pressure straight away. She'll put the pressure straight back on from there. When we need points, her accuracy with a boot for post is second to none. So all-round player, both on and supporting her. She's like one in a million.
And this squad is a real blend of experience like Emily and youth. Helena Rowlands was that today, and she has got a big future.
Yeah, Rowland on her second cap. I mean, second cap against one of the top sides in Northern Hemisphere. She does so much when it comes to playing today. Her kicking was really good. Her involvement in terms of that try which Matthews scored, or Matthews scored in the second try. She does so much, and I think it's nice to see that Simon has backed her. And I'll be intrigued to know if Simon backs her again for the second test against France, or does he bring Case Daly-McLean on to settle it again?
Just very briefly, will we see you on the field next week?
That's a hope, that's a plan, but we'll see how the week goes.
Oh, well, thank you very much for your company. It's been great to have you, Sarah and Maggie. Thank you so much. Well, Emily Scarrett said earlier on in the week that if you enjoy rugby, then you should enjoy women's rugby, and we really hope that you have. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
It's going to be a big game, this one. This looks good. England get the first score. This is looking good from France. She's gone over. Cocaine show and go. That's nice from the hooker. Alex Matthews finishes the job. Here comes Jess Breach. She's a bit of a machine when it comes to tries. Nothing has gone France's way. It has all been about England, and that victory means they are back to #1 in the world.